Welcome to the Love Spoon Workshop. Now, you may wonder, what is the question that we get asked the most by you? And the single area, the single subject that we get asked about the most is to do with tools. So this video is going to be dedicated to answering all or at least part of that question. Now, several years ago, somebody actually gave me this set here. And this was a set made by Marples, but it's a more modern set of Marples chisels. And for anyone who's learning wood carving, anyone who's thinking about learning wood carving, or anyone who might have been doing some wood carving but would like to sort of learn more about tools, one of the questions that you might put forward: why is it that despite the fact that we have a set of chisels and gouges for wood carving like this, why is it that we don't use them? And why do we choose to use vintage gouges like these as opposed to a carving set like these here? So let's start off then by focusing on what I feel and what we feel here at the Love Spoon Workshop are the deficiencies that come with these gouges. Now, this is not to sort of discredit and to dismiss these gouges. It's just looking at their shortcomings in comparison to the ones that we would recommend using. So there are a number of things with it. Firstly, the ferrules. Now, on a gouge like this one here, this was made in London over 100 years ago, made by a company called Herring Brothers, and in actual fact, the handle on this one has been damaged at some stage because somebody has hit it with a hammer as opposed to hitting it with a mallet, which is what you should use. Wood against wood, you won't have a problem. So they've actually split the handle and damaged it. But that's not a big deal because you can always replace a handle. But if we start off with those brass ferrules, they're nice and comfortable in your hand. The company who made this, the attention to detail with Herring Brothers is noticeable. They've filed off those brass ferrules so it sits comfortably in your hand when you're cutting with it, when you're working with it. So these ones in comparison, they've been left. In fairness, I would say that they have to a degree filed them off, but they are quite sharp. So when that sits in your hand, it isn't anywhere near as comfortable as a vintage gouge. And that is sort of the overall theme then, difference between the two. The attention to detail and the care and patience and time that has been put into making this is very noticeably different to what has been put into making this. And I would like to qualify what I'm saying here in terms of our belief is that you can turn these into very good carving gouges. But I think that you'll need to spend a lot of time working on them and working on a sharpening system like the Tormek that we use to improve them, because there are other issues that these have that our vintage gouges don't. Now, what they do when they make these, they seem to take less time and less care with them, so they leave the manufacturing lines, they're all left in them. that can all be taken out given time, and all of that process, working with it, handling it, gradually trying to improve them, eventually that should bear fruit and you should have a significant improvement in your gouges. But with the availability of vintage gouges around, it's a lot of time to invest in a cheaper gouge and to get it up to a decent standard, as opposed to investing in a better quality vintage gouge that you will not have to spend the same time to get it cutting nicely. The steel quality. Now, I'm a woodworker, so that's not my area of expertise. Any metal workers, anyone who's got more insight into metal, the metal industry, the production of metal, that sort of thing, if you could put in the comment section below the difference, we'd be really grateful, because that would help us out to understand better. But because we have an open workshop here, over the years, a number of people have been in and they've given us some different thoughts, different metal workers, people who've actually worked for this company, Marples. And another thing I'd like to qualify, this isn't a criticism of Marples. Marples used to be one of the finest tool and gouge makers. The people who we met working in the Marples factory, they actually recognise some of the gouges that we have and we use on a daily basis. They made them, and they say, yeah, the quality of steel, the quality that they produced, it was of the highest standard. It's more these modern Marples and modern gouges, and not all modern gouges, because this is what we're getting at. Not all gouges are equal. Some are far superior to others. But they tell us that they still use the same recipe to make the steel. But my own thought is it's the attention to detail and the amount of care and attention that has been put into producing it that is ultimately the difference. My own belief, but again, anybody who knows better, feel free, put it in the comments section. I'm not sitting here and saying that I'm definitive on this. I do not have knowledge of making gouges. But my own belief is a gouge like this one here, they've spent a lot more time working with that metal, getting those manufacturing lines out and producing a higher quality finished product than has been put into these ones here. So basically, the idea of this is to explain to anybody who is interested in wood carving, is looking to improve their wood carving. Maybe you're looking to start wood carving. Perhaps you're looking for how you step up to another level. The tools are definitely an area where you can make improvements. But with the tools, as we mentioned, you need to understand sharpening. These gouges here, in the state that they're in now, ultimately, they are more difficult to get a good cutting edge on, and they do not hold their cutting edge for as long. A vintage gouge like this one will hold its edge for longer, and you are able to get it sharper. So for a wood carver, the comparison between the two, that one is far, far more useful and far better for us to do our job than that one there. But if that is what your budget stretches to, then you have to look at spending more time with the gouge, working with it, and trying to get the best out of what you can afford. If budget is an issue as well, though, our own thoughts is instead of investing in a set of 6, like these here, you are far better off investing in 2, like this one here, And what I'll do in the description, I will put the names of some of the chisel and gouge makers, some of the vintage ones. So if you look on things like eBay or some of the vintage tool sellers that are about, just so you know some of the names, hopefully that might be useful in giving you a little bit of guidance on some of the names to look out for. Let's just give you a little demonstration of how these gouges carve. Thank you for watching. We hope you've enjoyed that video. Remember, if you are learning wood carving, if you are interested in wood carving, if you'd like to develop your skills, get in touch with us with any of your questions, your thoughts, your ideas. If you've got any videos you'd like to see us make, get in touch with that as well. We would be delighted to make more content that is relevant and useful to you. That is ultimately what our YouTube channel is all about, is helping you in the process of learning and developing your skills as a wood carver, a spoon carver, or a love spoon carver. So remember, get those comments in the comment section below. We would be delighted to help you improve and learn wood carving skills.